Hello everyone and welcome to this module on the mechanical motor vehicle. In today's video, let us learn to inspect a chassis frame, assemble the shock absorber and lubricate a suspension system. By the end of this video, you will be able to inspect the chassis frame visually, check the chassis frame for bends, twists and cracks, remove the shock absorber, inspect the shock absorber, refit the shock absorber and lubricate the suspension system. Let us collect the tools, machinery and materials required to do this. Trainee's tool kit 1, plumb bob 1, jack 1, hammer 1, heavy vehicle 1, cotton waste as required, chalk as required, bush as required, oil as required, grease as required, soap oil as required and a cleaning solvent as required. Inspect the chassis frame visually. Check the chassis frame visually for cracks and major damage. If any major damage is found, send the chassis frame for repair. Check the chassis frame for bends and twists. Mark a diagram on a leveled floor according to the manufacturer's specification. Place the frame on the floor of the diagram. Check the diagonal and inline measurement of the frame on the floor. If the frame is bent or twisted, the side member and cross member points will not align with the floor diagram. If the deviation found is more than the specified limit of the manufacturer, send the frame for repair. Place the frame on the uniform height horse support and coincide the same with the floor diagram. Make several plumb bob point marks where the plumb bob point touches the ground. Mark the diagram where the plumb bob touches and makes a diagram. Compare the plumb bob's diagram with the manufacturer's diagram. By using a plumb bob, measure the height of the frame from the floor at different places. If there is any difference between the heights and the frame is sagging, then send it for repair. Inspect the rivets of the frame by hitting with a ball peen hammer. Loose rivets will give a dull sound. Change the rivets or send the frame for repair. Check for chassis cracks from the hanger bracket holes, rivet holes and cross member mounting points. Crack repair is a special welding technique that is done by a specialist. Removing the shock absorber. Chock the front and rear wheels. Place jacks under the spring pad supporting the axle. Jack up the vehicle until the wheels are off the ground. Hold the shock absorber and remove the shock absorber mounting bolt from the top and bottom mounting bracket spring pad. Remove the shock absorber from the mounting bracket with a spacer at the top. Inspection of the shock absorber. Inspect and replace if found unserviceable. Replace the shock absorber rubber bushes. Check the shock absorber for compression and leakage of oil. Installation of the shock absorber. Hold the shock absorber along with the spacers at the top. Hold the shock absorber and tighten the mounting bolts on the bracket. Lock the nut with a split pin. Remove the jacks from the vehicle. Press the vehicle body by hand and check the shock absorber action. Lubricate the suspension system. Identify the lubrication points on the vehicle. Clean the lubrication points with cotton cloth. Visually check the grease nipples for any damage. In case of any damage in the grease nipples, replace them. Use the power operate gun to apply grease onto the lubrication points. Use nipple grease for suspension lubrication points. Fix the grease gun on the shackle pin, grease nipple points by pumping the grease gun till all the old grease comes out from the shackle pin. Lubricate the hanger pin and nipple point as per the above procedure. Lubricate the propeller shaft's universal joint. Lubricate the front wheel CV joint. Clean all the lubricated points, wiping out surplus grease if present. The greasing points are as follows: tie rod end, strut piston rod bushing, CV joint, stub axle, wheel bearing, steering cable lubrication, brake linkage, bush set of front struts, gear shift linkage, clutch pedal linkage, universal joints and slip joint, brake caliper unit, door hinges and locks, water pump bearing and steering linkages. In this video, we have learned to inspect the chassis frame visually, check the chassis frame for bends, twists and cracks, remove the shock absorber, inspect the shock absorber, refit the shock absorber and lubricate the suspension system. I hope you have a clear understanding of this session. Thank you all and see you in the next video. Hope you have a clear understanding of this session. Thank you all and see you in the next video.